Hi, you're with Josh Goldberg. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about something which I call spotlighting. Now, spotlighting is a behavior that is close to gaslighting, but is also different. Okay, so today we're going to explain spotlighting. It's something that I encounter in my counseling practice quite often. It's a very common behavior used by the narcissist and also borderline people. Okay, so as always, if you connect to this content, please feel free to make a comment. Don't forget to like the video, share the video with other people, and subscribe to us if you want more of this type of content. Okay, so what is spotlighting? So I created the term spotlighting because the behavior is basically deflecting the focus from themselves onto you, hence the term spotlighting, okay? They're putting the spotlight onto you. Now, spotlighting is a defensive behavior, which means that it is a behavior that the narcissist or the borderline person will do in order to take the focus off themselves so that they can avoid responsibility for things that they did or things that they said. And it is in an attempt to avoid feeling their own pain and being vulnerable, okay? Because they don't feel safe, okay? They have unresolved anxiety and control. So in an attempt to feel in control and to feel safe and to deflect taking responsibility and being vulnerable, they will put the spotlight onto you. Because they're deeply wounded, okay, they're not able to be vulnerable with you, which is why they do this behavior. Now, how is spotlighting different from gaslighting? So gaslighting is more or less the same type of behavior. And gaslighting, they will deflect the spotlight back onto you by taking the conversation to something that happened in the past, except it didn't actually happen the way that they're describing it, which is terribly confusing for you. And it causes you to question your own memory and to question your own sanity. In the process, they're deflecting self-responsibility, putting the focus onto you. And that's gaslighting, okay? Which is, instead of taking responsibility for things that they did or said, they will take the conversation to some point in the past, to something else, and they will make something up or reframe something that happened into something that doesn't exist, which is very confusing and irritating for you to have to deal with that, okay? Putting the focus onto you. That's gaslighting. Spotlighting is more or less the same thing, except they will bring up something from the past, okay, that happened 10 minutes ago or 10 years ago that actually did happen, and they will pin that onto you and putting the spotlight onto you, okay? So this is the difference between gaslighting and spotlighting, is that gaslighting is when they make you out to be crazy and confuse you by taking you back to something that never actually happened. Whereas spotlighting is when they take you back to something that did actually happen, okay? It was something that you did actually do. It is a fact, and that is spotlighting. So what does spotlighting actually look like? So spotlighting is when you try and bring something up with them, something that is unresolved, maybe a dispute or a conflict, or you want to share your hurt feelings from something that they did in the past. And so you approach them to try and resolve this or to share your feelings. And instead of becoming vulnerable and trying to understand what you're feeling and to resolve the issue, they will put the spotlight back onto you by bringing up something that you did at some point in the past. Now, it can be from 10 minutes ago, or it can be something from 10 years ago. The toxic person, okay, the narcissist and the borderline person always has a bank of things that you've done wrong in the past and your mistakes, and they will bring them up at a time when they need to deflect getting put on the spot and having to take responsibility and becoming vulnerable. And again, if they don't have something in their memory bank that they can bring up to put the spotlight onto you, that's when they will generally gaslight, okay? They will just take you back to a situation and reframe it and make it into something that didn't actually happen, okay? So that's what they do when they don't have an actual event, they will gaslight, okay? So spotlighting is when you try and share your hurt feelings, okay? So you come to them and say, look, I just want to discuss what happened last night at the party. I felt really hurt when you were, talking to all the other girls, okay? And then instead of being sensitive to your feelings and being understanding and validating, they will respond with, oh yeah, well, I remember 4 years ago when we went to my work Christmas party, you were talking to my boss for 20 minutes. Okay, how dare you talk to my boss for 20 minutes and now you complain that I'm talking to other people. This is spotlighting, okay? It's bringing something up from the past that you did and putting the spotlight onto you to deflect the responsibility for things that they did that were hurtful or things that they did that were toxic or mistakes, okay? So how does one deal with spotlighting? It's a very difficult behavior to deal with because it is a toxic behavior. It's basically a form of blaming and, I guess, attention diversion, okay? Putting something onto you. So it does infringe on your boundaries. It is very difficult to deal with. Gaslighting and spotlighting are dealt with in exactly the same way. I do have very effective techniques and skills to be able to deal with this effectively. It is very hard. Generally, it will feel very irritating and enraging and also hurtful to encounter spotlighting. Gaslighting is the same, and on top of that, it is terribly confusing. So you can deal with gaslighting and spotlighting. Definitely have to develop these skills, okay, which I can give you. It's definitely helpful to have something to do in these situations if you are encountering patterns of these behaviors, spotlighting and or gaslighting. So if you want or need these particular skills or you know someone that does, please direct them to this video. Get in touch, okay? They're not so hard to do. It does take a little bit of practice and certainly important to work with someone on this. It's not just something that you can encounter without this help and support because it is very difficult to be effective when someone is pushing the focus and the blame and the responsibility onto you for their own behavior, okay? So please feel free to reach out if you want to acquire this skills and techniques. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much for tuning in and we look forward to seeing you in future videos.